Kakadosh Boker Tov, Shavua Tov, Masechet Yevamot Daf Kavzayin Amud Aleph 27:8-1. We just finished off by saying that according to Shitat Shemuel, he says the Amar Shemuel says Chalatz la'achayot lo niftiru letzarot. So this is the case. You have Reuven, Shimon, Levi, right? Reuven got married to Rachel, and Levi got married to Leah, which are sisters, and each one of them has their own also wife besides the two sisters. Reuven and Levi died. So now you have the two sisters falling in front of Shimon and the tzarot. So if he came and he did chalitza to the achayot, so therefore the tzarot were not niftiru. He says over here why. It says chalatza achayot lo niftiru tzarot v'adayin zekol yibum hoil v'yibayel yibum elomatzi, because technically he cannot do yibum to one of the two sisters. So therefore it was going to be not a good chalitza, and therefore since it wasn't going to be a good chalitza, so therefore, like we already mentioned, it's they would still have to do Chana and Esther would still have to do the chalitza besides the fat. So Hechal de kaima chalitza de Shimon chalitza kshera chalitzla, right? Reuven chalitza psula. He says 1 second. If right now you have a case where Shimon would come and he would do chalitza and it's going to be chalitza kshera, so what? So now would Reuven do a chalitza psula? It does not make sense.
Recording in progress.
So in this case, you had Reuven, Shimon, Levi, which again, Reuven and Levi died, and they were married to two sisters. And Shimon was a brother that didn't have anybody. And you have here the two tzarot besides the two sisters. So according to Shemuel, if Shimon does chalitza to Rachel or Leah, since he cannot do yibum to them, so therefore the co-wives, Chana and Esther, would still have to do whether it's going to be chalitza. So says the Gemara, if the chalitza of Shimon would be a chalitza kshera, chalitza Reuven chalitza psula. So therefore, what? Now Reuven would do a chalitza psula. Doesn't make sense. Obviously, we always want to do a chalitza kshera, not chalitza psula. Chalitza psula means that you cannot do yibum, and therefore it's a lower level of chalitza. So what does the Gemara says when it means that one person does chalitza to the middle one? Right? One person does chalitza to everybody. I am tzait only on the middle one, which means that there was a machloket. Here in this case, if you remember, we said Reuven does chalitza to chogla, Shimon does chalitza to tirza, Milka, which is the middle one, they both have to do chalitza. Says the Gemara, no, now only one of them has to do chalitza to Milka. So says the Gemara, ve'akulan kama, what are you talking about? It's written there, kulan, everybody has to do it. So it says, no, kivan de ruba gabei, since the majority of the sisters are going by him, that's why it says in the plural, right, kulan, right, that's what it says, choletz lekulan. So that means this one is choletz lekulan, because he's doing chalitza to two of them. Or this, and this one is only doing it to one. Okay? Viba itema, if you want, you could answer another answer. Kikama Shmuel chalitza me'alia ba'ina, when does Shmuel hold that we need a good chalitza? Hanamile le miftar tzarata, only when you want to be poter the tzara. For example, here, you want to be poter the tzara. So if he's going to do chalitza to Rachel or to Leah, whatever it is, so therefore you want to be poter the tzara. You cannot be poter the tzara unless you have a chalitza kshera, a good one. Aval mi patra nafsha, but to exempt her from yibum, patra, it's good. Meaning like this, according to Shemuel, chalitza psula is not a good chalitza. But when is a chalitza psula not a good chalitza? Right? Only if there's a co-wife. If there's a co-wife for here, there's Chana and Esther. These are co-wives. So if I want to exempt Chana and Esther, it's going to be a problem. Okay. However, though, right, Rachel and Leah. Let's say, for example, there was no two wives. It's only one wife. And now Shimon does a chalitza psula, because he cannot do yibum to her. So in such a case, he says it's going to be poterota mibum. So Gufar Shmuel says he comes and he says as follows, right? Chalatz la'achayot niftiru atzarot, l'atzarot niftiru achayot. So the person came and he did chalitza to the sisters. So therefore, the tzarot, the co-wives, did not become exempt. If he did it to the co-wives, so then the sisters are exempt, right? Chalatz leba'alat get. What happens now if the Yavam comes and he does chalitza to a woman that she received the get? So lo niftera tzara, right? She doesn't exempt the tzara with that. However, though, right, if right now right? He comes and he says, if right now he did it to the tzara, niftera ba'alat haget. So the ba'alat haget becomes exempt. Okay? Fine. Chalatz leba'alat ha'ma'amar. What happens if now a person came and he did chalitza to ba'alat ha'ma'amar? Ba'alat ha'ma'amar means that one of the Yevams, they did ma'amar, they did an action of kiddushin, and then they came and they did chalitza to that woman. So lo niftera tzara, right? The tzara was not exempt. The tzara, but if you did it to the tzara, niftera ba'alat ha'ma'amar. Says the Gemara, ma'ishnar, are we not dealing with now la'achayot, right? Are we not dealing now with la'achayot, the lo nifteru, that did not become the lo nifteru tzarot, tehavya achot isha bezika, that it's achot isha bezika, chalatz tzarot, I mean lo patru achayot. So therefore, if you did the chalitza to the tzarot, also the achayot should not become exempt. Tavilu tzarot achot isha bezika, because that's tzarot achot isha bezika. So therefore, just like you're not allowed to do yibum to tzarat achot isha, so too you're not allowed to do yibum to achot zekuka, which means like this: you Shimon in this case cannot do yibum to Rachel because it's achot zekukato, correct? Rachel and Leah are sisters. So therefore, so if he does it to Rachel, Chana and Esther are still, which are the tzarot, are still chayavim in chalitza. Says the Gemara, not only can Shimon not do yibum to Rachel, Shimon cannot do yibum to Hannah as well. Why? He says, because this is called tzarot achot isha bezika. And tzarot achot isha bezika, this is a tzara of achot isha bezika. Okay, this is the achot isha, right? Two wives, right? So tzarat achot isha bezika, and you can't do yibum. So if you cannot do yibum, why do we just say if Shimon does yibum to Rachel or Leah, it's not good for Chana and Esther. But if you do Chana and Esther, it is good. It's not correct. Even if you do for the Chana and Esther, they're tzarot achot isha, and therefore it also wouldn't be good because they cannot do yibum. If they cannot do yibum, it's not a good chalitza. So says the Gemara, Kasav Shmuel and Zika. Shmuel holds there's no Zika, and therefore since there's no Zika, there's no problem. So ask the Gemara, Ve'amar Shmuel yes Zika. Shmuel holds there is a Zika. So says the Gemara, no. Lefia omer en Zika kaman. He's saying the shita according to the shita of en Zika. So ask the Gemara, if so, chalatz la'achayot, amay lo nifteru tzarot. He says if there was chalitza done to the achayot, why is it that the tzarot are not going to become exempt? Which means if he did the chalitza to the achayot, why is it that the tzarot are not going to be exempt? There's no zika. If there's no zika, nobody. Again, these two cases, you have Rachel and Leah. If there's no zika, so then Shimon could do whatever he wants to one of them because there's no zika by both of them. So Shimon can get married to Rachel even. Why? It's not a chod zikukato and zika. There's no zika. There's no kesher between them. So says the Gemara, Yihachi, if so, Raichalatz achayot amay lo nifteru tzarot, bishlema tzara de Rachel lo tipater. I understand that tzara of Rachel is not going to become patur, which is Chana. The kevan de chalatz leLeah, but since he did chalitza to Leah, v'hadar chalatz Rachel, and then he did chalitza to Rachel. Havle chalitza de Rachel, chalitza psula. The chalitza of Rachel is psula. Why? Because chalitza de Rachel. Why? Because now it's achot chalutzato. Shimon comes and he does chalitza to Leah. Okay, but that's in this house. Then he's going to do chalitza to this house, to Rachel. If he does that, the second he did the chalitza to Leah, this becomes achot chalutzato automatically. Even without zika. Achot chalutzato. So now when Shimon comes and he does chalitza to Rachel, it's already chalitza psula because he cannot get married to her. He cannot do yibum to her. So therefore, this I understand. But at least Esther here should become exempt. So says the Gemara, you're right. When it says lo niftiru atzarot, it didn't mean Chana and Esther. It meant only Chana, which is the tzara of Rachel. Because since you first did the chalitza to Leah, Rachel becomes disqualified. So when Shimon does it to Rachel, it's a chalitza psula, and therefore it's not going to exempt Chana, which is the co-wife, tzara. So says the Gemara, tzarot kaman. What are you talking about? It says tzarot. It doesn't say tzara. So he says, no, tzarot de alma. Tzarot in general. It's not on this specific case, right? Because here it's only one. It's in general. So ask the Gemara, if so, chalatz letzarot niftiru achayot. Why is it that if they did the chalitza to the tzarot, which is here Chana and Esther, so now why is it now in niftiru achayot, Rachel and Leah become exempt? Ve'atzarat Rachel mimipatra, atzarat Rachel can you be poter? So he says, Vatna we learned, asur adam betzarat krovat chalutzato. Here you're not allowed to go to tzarat krovat chalutzato. Here the same thing. Shimon comes and he does, right? He says, if right now Rachel is asur to the Yavam because of achot chalutzato, so too tzarat Rachel, which is tzarat achot chalutzato, is also asura. So Chana is also asura because of Rachel. So now Shimon cannot get married to Chana either. So why is it that if he gets married to Chana, Rachel is patur? That's not true. So Shmuel lami itchil velo itchil kama. Shmuel only started, but he didn't start right completely. What does that mean? When he says chalatz la'achayot niftiru tzarot, chalatz tzarot niftiru achayot, the kavanah was like this. Hitchil ba'achayot, if he started with one of the sisters, lo yigmor batzarot. So then he cannot finish with the tzarot. Okay? Right, because then he cannot finish. The Tram, as we learned in the Mishnah, asura da mitzarat krovat chalutzato. So therefore, yitchil batzarot, and if you started with the tzarot, yigmor af b'achayot, then you could finish with the sisters. The Tram, as we learned in the Mishnah, mutara da mikrovat tzarat chaluto. A person is permitted mikrovat tzarat chalutzato. So therefore, since he's permitted to do yibum to Rachel, the chalitza is kosher, and then it's going to exempt also the Chana, which is the co-wife. You know, the more so that the chalitza of Chana would exempt everything also altogether. So says the Gemara, Ravashi, right? So that's over here, by the way. This is this picture. Okay? Reuven and Shimon are brothers. Okay? And Reuven gets, okay, so Shimon gets married to Leah, David gets married to Rachel and Miriam. So Reuven and Shimon are brothers. Shimon has two wives, okay? Leah and Chana. Chana has a daughter from another husband, right, which is called Esther. Now, Leah is the sister of Rachel. Rachel gets married to David, and David has another wife called Miriam. Shimon dies without children, so Reuven does chalitza to Leah Yevimto. Okay, so it comes out that Leah is chalutzat Reuven, right? And Rachel is krovat chalutzat Reuven. So it comes out Miriam is sarat krovat chalutzato vasuralo. So she's prohibited to him. So just like Chana is sarat chalutzato, veser krovat sarat chalutzato muteret lo. Okay, fine. So says the Gemara. Ravashi says leolam kedakamar. Really, it's like what we said at the beginning. The zika, right, is not strong enough to make the tzara into an irva. So therefore, since it is not strong enough in order to make the tzara into an irva, that's why we said, right, it's going to be a different halacha. So he says, since it's not strong enough until that it's going to be considered a tzara, like an irva itself, so therefore it's going to be poterotam from chalitza. Ravashi, we also learned in accordance to Ravashi, right? When it says chalatza achayot niftiru atzarot, halatzarot niftiru achayot, my time, what's reasoning? Lamishun de kasavar yesh zika velo alima zika l'shavil tzara kerva, which means there is a zika, but the zika is not strong enough to make it that it's a mamash like an irva. Therefore, since it's not like a mamash irva, he would be able to get married to her to do yibum. If he could do yibum, and the chalitza is a chalitza kshera. Amar Rabbi Abba bar Mamel, says Rabbi Abba Mamel, Hamani, who is this? Bet Shammai. It's now as we learned in the Mishnah. Bet Shammai matrin atzirot la'atzarot la'achin. Do you know that according to Shittat Bet Shammai, the tzarot are permitted to get married to the brothers? Bet Hillel says that it's a sur. So since Bet Shammai say that it's permitted for the Yavam to do, right, even yibum to tzarat erva gemura, so then kol sheken in our case. So says the Gemara, Yachiv, so yabum benami tityabem. So why can't you do yibum? Why are we only talking about chalitza? So says the Gemara, Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. It's like Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. Damar, that he says, why don't we make a takana for the tzarot that they should do chalitza and not yibum? And therefore they're going to get out of all the shitot, also Bet Shammai and also Bet Hillel. They could do like Bet Hillel, understand? And they could do, but no. We want to do it like everybody. So there, how do you do it like everybody? You come, you do chalitza. So the Amar more and more says, they didn't do, we weren't able to finish until the time already passed, right? So therefore what happened? They didn't make the takana. They wanted to do an institution, but they didn't do it. No, later on, they did make this institution. They did actually come, and they were able to do this. Okay? They asked in the Bet HaMidrash, 27b. Ba'alata get to Ba'alata Ma'amar. Ezumuhen kodem for chalitza. Two women that fall in front of a brother, right? And one of them already received the get from the Yavam, and the second one received the Ma'amar from the Yavam. Which one is earlier? Which one is first to receive a chalitza? Which means To which one should he do chalitza in order to be poter both of them together? Ba'alat get adifa. Do you say that ba'alat get is better? Mishum datchil ba'chalitza, because that's the beginning part of the chalitza. Remember, how do you get rid of a woman? Right? You do chalitza. If you give a get, so he said midoraita, that's nothing, because it's still not your wife. A yevama, you could only do yibum or chalitza to her. But the rabbis instituted that if you did a get, if you gave a get, it's midrabanan, it cancels her out. But technically speaking, she still needs a doraita, she still needs chalitza. Now, what about ma'amar? Ma'amar is also not doraita, because the Yevam has to do 100% yibum. If he does ma'amar, which is kiddushin, it's also the rabbanan. So therefore, he did ba'alat ma'amar to one, and he gave a get to the other one. Which one should you do chalitza to, and then automatically you're going to exempt from both? So says the Gemara, ba'alat get to difa is because you already started the chalitza, or dilma ba'alat ma'amar difa, because it's so much closer to the biyah, meaning it's much closer to the relations. So says the Gemara, Ravashi says, Tashema u'moder sheyesh get echad ma'amar ma'amar echad get. There's a get after ma'amar and ma'amar after get. So get adif, if you're going to tell me that the get is better, lo lehani ma'amar batres. So therefore the ma'amar should not help for the get. Meaning if you already give a get, a ma'amar should not help now. Never yi ma'amar adif, and if ma'amar is better than a get, so lo lehani gave batres. So the get should not help after ma'amar. Elalav shmamina ki adadani. So it's the same thing. Salam mishos, the exact same level. And since it's shmamina, therefore since it's the same level, you could do chalitza to which they're on the same level. Meaning you have two wives. Yeah, two wives. You've got one you did ma'amar, one you gave a get. They're both rabbanans, but since they're on the same level, the one ma'amar is kiddushin and get is a get to get rid of her. But since they're both on the same level, you could do chalitza to whichever one, and it's the same thing. Amar Ravuna Marav, says Ravuna Marav, shte achayot yevamot. When you have two sisters, right, which are achayot yevamot, okay, which are sisters, which are yevamot. Shnaflu lifnei yevam echad, that fell in front of one brother. Chalatz rishona hutra, chalatz l'shniya hutra. Whichever one that you did it first, you did the chalitza, you permitted the other one. Okay, doesn't matter whether you did it the first one, so then she's permitted. Chalatz l'shniya, she's also going to be permitted. Okay, so you did the chalitza to one, she's permitted. You did chalitza to the next one, she's permitted. Meta. What happens if the one that went in front of the yibum died? Meta rishona, mutar b'shniya. So now the yavam is allowed to do yibum to the second sister. Ve'en tzarich lomar, you don't have to say meta shniya, that if the second one died, mutar b'rishona. Mishum daviv yom ha'shutra, v'netzra v'chazra v'utra, t'chzor le'tera rishon. This yevama was at the beginning utra. Then she became prohibited. And then again she became, right, permitted. Because the sister died. Remember, you cannot get married to the sister-in-law, meaning to your wife's sister, only in her lifetime. But if she died, there's nothing left. So therefore, says the Gemara, so then it should go back to the original heter. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, Rabbi Yochanan comes and he says, Meta shniya. If the second one died, mutar b'rishona, it's going to be permitted in the first one. Aval meta rishona, but if the first one died, asur b'shniya, it's going to be prohibited the second one. My time, what's reasoning? Shekol yevama shenani koreba bishat nefila yevama yevo alea. Any yevama that I cannot call on it, that during the time of the nefila, the yevama will come onto her. It's like an eshet ach that has children, okay? Vasura, and it's going to be asura, okay? V'rav, one second. So says the Gemara, v'rav, yeah, letle. He says, I svara, what? He doesn't hold of such a svara that you should prohibit the second wife after the death of the first one. Rav says, meaning, if right now the Yevama cannot have relations with her, it's considered that this is an eshet ach, a sister-in-law, that she has children. Because if he cannot have relations with her, it's like he knew that he has children. If she has children, she's not allowed to go with him. She's not allowed to live with him. So says the Gemara, that's only in the situation where it's in front of you. What do you mean? It's a bishan nefila to yibum. Isur achot isha is doraita. Aval hachazika derabanani. The entire concept of achot isha is doraita. Doraita, you're not allowed to get married to your sister, to your wife's sister. But here, the entire concept of zika is only derabanan. Since it's only derabanan, it's a different halacha. Eight ve Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Rabbi Yochanan. Ask Rabbi Yosef Rabbi to Rabbi Yochanan. Arba'a achin, shnai mehem nesuot u'shtei achayot. Right? Umetu hanisuin et nisuin et achayot. You know what? Says the Gemara, 8 ve Rabbi Yosef bar Rav Chanina, Rabbi Yochanan. Ask Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Chanina to Rabbi Yochanan. 1 Kavzanim Ubet, 27b towards the bottom. Arba achim, when you have 4 brothers. Two of them are married to two sisters. So 4 brothers, 2 brothers are married to 2 sisters. Now what happened is that the one that was married to the 2 sisters, they died. Okay? So this is the famous case that we had before. 4 brothers, Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda. The 2 middle brothers were married to 2 sisters. They died. We already learned that they do chalitza and yibum. Ask the Gemara, why? One of them should go. Do chalitza to the other sister. Now what happens is this one, the one that was left over. Remember, 2 brothers to 2 sisters. The 2 brothers died, and now they fall to the other brothers on the side. One of them should come and do chalitza. When one of them does chalitza, the other one was a yevama that she became permitted, she became prohibited, and then again she became permitted because once the chalitza was done, now she's allowed to do it. Elmaleh says, achayot enu yudim nishanan. You're right. The 2 achayot, which it says in the Mishnah that you're not allowed to do the yibum to both of them, you have to do chalitza to both of them. I don't know who taught it. So says the Gemara, why doesn't he just answer him? My cholutzot nami diktani. Why shouldn't he just say that cholutzot does not mean cholutzot to both of them? Choletzet chada, you're doing one. So says, what are you talking about? Cholutzot ktani. It says cholutzot with a vav, not choletzet. Choletzet is without a vav. Choletzet means to one woman. Cholutzot is to 2 women. So says the Gemara, hare elu katani. What does it mean? Hare elu cholutzot. When it says hare, it doesn't say he. It says hare elu. It's plural. Everything. Hare elu. Elu is them. They have to do chalitza. So the fact that they have to do chalitza, we already know that it's going to be done to both of them. So ask the Gemara, maybe she does chalitza to the first one in the beginning. So the Gemara says cholzot lechatchila ktani. When it says cholzot, it means right lechatchila. We continue with Zat Hashem tomorrow.